For the first time in 2024, the Aero Broadcasting Network Champ Car Series is in action, and we've taken to the track here in Joliet, Illinois. This is Chicagoland Speedway, and the Champ Car Joliet 150 is just moments away from its beginning, the first race of 2024. Great to have you all watching on ABN. Number one tonight. We are on the main channel, and it's great to be with you. I'm David Kreutz, and for tonight's broadcasting, I'll be alongside Olivia Hayward and Taylor Mills as we take you through 150 miles of action here in Chicagoland. An exciting night of racing awaits us here, and we're getting ready to once again return to Champ Car racing on iRacing, an especially exciting night for all of the team here at ABN, and we hope it's going to be as exciting for the viewers, of course, as you begin to tune in for tonight's racing action. Practice is still on the move. We've got ourselves about 3.5 minutes remaining, and right now drivers are still getting settled in. Bryce Saucier at the top of the board, and drivers are still taking times. Over 20 of which registered for this session. So, as of course we introduce the entire team tonight, I mentioned Olivia Hayward and Taylor Mills. Olivia, you're with us right now, and we're just a moment away from getting things started. An exciting night. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really hyped. It is good to be back. And what a venue to start the season off at. Quite a challenging track. We ran testing here last week, and we've seen a couple of setup changes since then. Everyone getting acclimated to a little bit more aero push than they were running last week, but should make some very exciting racing up front. Lots of passes for the lead, swooping back and forth, and yeah, I think it's going to be a good one.
And we're hoping to see, of course, some great racing here tonight. As it stands, we're looking at the 07 machine fastest on the board for the time being. It's going to be Bryce Saucier, and matter of fact, his teammate just a few spots back on the leaderboard, only back in third place, Nicholas Presley. Both of those drivers very quick so far. Already got the team game maybe being played as we're moments away from our first qualifying session of the night. The fastest time so far in terms of seconds comes in at 24.43, and I believe that comes out to over 215 miles an hour on average throughout the entire lap. These drivers are never under that 215 mark. High speeds around a very quick track. There's a lot of room here in Chicagoland, especially for these nimble Champ Car machines. I think that's going to be the name of the game as this progresses, making use of that room all night long.
Yeah, absolutely. 24.4 actually coming in as the new ABN track record. Violet Zir held it with a 24.501 coming in last week, but as I mentioned earlier, we've taken a little bit of downforce off these cars, making it a little bit harder to hold that bottom lane, but it means that they're actually clocking slightly higher speeds and faster than we've ever been here at Chicagoland. It's going to be a very exciting race to watch. Bryce Saucier again, the one with that track record, has not won at Chicagoland, but has looked very strong here, so could be one to watch out for to maybe notch this one off on his list as well.
Hoping to see another strong performance as we looked at a few more drivers are still registering, and right now 20 drivers have taken times going back to Carmen Sienna in the number 96, about 1 second off of the fastest time right now. Many drivers are on pit road, of course, as we're just moments away from getting things started. A few drivers have already called their practice session as a complete one, so we're looking right now throughout the track. A few drivers are still going, and you can see the weather is going to come into play. Partly cloudy skies, so we're going back and forth right now, and a bigger pack is being formed. As you'll see, it's slowly but surely becoming a 5-car bundle here. Nicholas Presley is in the middle of which, and right beside it's going to be the number 08 machine of Houston Stevenson, and also Eli Sasak in the number 19. So you're seeing now drivers getting used to that slipstream. The draft is a big deal, and it's going to come into play all night long, even though we're only now with 20 seconds left in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Carmen Sienna, you mentioned, down in 20th. Definitely not representative there. Carmen Sienna, of course, the winner last time we came here for the first race of Season 3. But obviously, the founder of ABN spending a lot of time pre-race getting everything all lined out. I'm sure we'll see her start to shine as she gets qualifying and the start of the race.
And time to get to qualifying, as you mentioned. It's going to be the 07 machine of Bryce Saucier at the top of the board for our first practice session of the year. And just like that, we're on to our 4-lap qualifying. It is not going to be 2 laps as typical oval racing is. Here, open wheel, it's champ car time. We got more laps in qualifying, double of which as a matter of fact. And right now, Bryce takes to the circuit. We like to introduce Taylor Mills as well as our driver analyst for tonight's presentation. So looking forward to what's next, Taylor. What can you tell us about the driving conditions inside these champ cars? And as we keep on going here, we still got a little bit of time. 9 minutes and 22 seconds remaining on the board. Unfortunately, no comment there from Taylor Mills, but we'll keep things going nonetheless. Green flag is out in qualifying, and we're on the move watching our fastest driver from practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And with not having the aero wash from cars ahead, I think the low line is going to be pretty easy to hold. But of course, you have 4 laps, and so you're going to see drivers start to build speed on that high line and then maybe cut down to try and optimize and really focus on scrubbing the tires as little as possible. Try not to warm them up too much as we get through this session. As that, we have our first times on the board. Currently, Lily Fraser with a 25.244 on provisional pole, but it's still very early days.
Signal from the pit lane a little bit spotty. Sorry to not get back to you there, David. I was just saying what a pleasure it is to be back on ABN Esports, and what an absolute pleasure it is to be back with champ car action here on iRacing. I can't tell you how excited I am to be bringing you all of the action from the pit lane today here at Chicagoland Speedway.
And right now, looking at the first of that excitement, of course, right now, Lily Fraser, top of the board, only to be taken 1 spot higher for the 83. Now it's Emily Howe at the top. Nicholas Pressey is in second, and Lily drops down to third with more drivers taking times. The needle continues to be pushed further and further up. Nicholas Pressey jumps up to second there. Alex Martin is now in third, and now continuous improvements lap after lap, time after time, and you're seeing a lot more of it on that second, third, and especially now the 4th lap where drivers are building up that speed, getting a little more of that warmth in the tire. That's going to play big time, not only in qualifying, but if you in the race as well. And we're looking right now at the 83 provisional pole. This could be the car to beat as the night progresses.
Yeah, Arrowhead racing driver making her champ car debut tonight. Pushing very hard over the line there. Didn't seem to improve. But yeah, debut in these machines, but very, very experienced in stock car competition. We saw her win the Winstyle 400 on ABN just a couple of weeks ago, and she's showing her overpress is not just its defenders. She's looking to make a statement here, leading into the start of tonight's race.
It could be a statement night not only for our provisional pole sitter in Emily Howe, but also for Nicholas Pressey. He and his teammate Bryce Saucier are second and third provisionally and seem to be the top team so far in terms of speed on the timing chart. Qualifying going strongly for this pair so far. Nicholas Pressey, E Motorsports, and their flagship driver making it down to pit road right now, only 7 thousandths off the pole. 17 drivers have taken at least 1 timed lap. Looks like Edson Santos and Bobby Blowers are also looking for times. Zach McBride is on pit road, but has not yet taken to the track. So we're expecting to see every time within the next 2-3 minutes. I think Zach McBride is set to take a lap, just hasn't done so far as he is reporting to be on the track as well. 19 drivers to lap now, make that 21. 2 drivers come across the stripe, Bobby Blowers and Edson Santos, and the entire field is only separate by a quarter of a second. Very close time so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in these sort of flat-out oval qualifyings, it's all about the small things, you know, trying to reduce the slip on the tires to not screw off much speed, trying to keep that line as tight down as possible. We see some drivers wander to the apron. That's Edson Santos from out of nowhere comes in on provisional pole, a 25.048, another rookie making their series debut, and it will be, by the look of things, a brand new front row for the Champ Car Series.
And you saw it there, Edson Santos to the top of the board, and it looks like it could be another of these newcomers that takes it for a ride here in Chicagoland. 5 minutes remaining on the board. Edson Santos now top of the charts. Only driver left to maybe go for that pole would be either Bobby Blowers or Zach McBride. The 34 machine of Blowers is on the way right now. We're still seeing no signs from Zach McBride that he'll get on the way. He might be waiting for everyone else to conclude their runs before he gets on the move. At the stripe for Bobby Blowers, he's going to be 8th position as it stands, and it looks like a top 10 qualifying spot secured for this number 34. Zach McBride, the only driver besides, of course, now DJ Trout on the circuit. However, still no movement, and the majority of our qualifying session has already been wrapped up. One variable left. Maybe there's a chance to change things up with only 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, Zach McBride playing very patiently, maybe deciding to see how the field falls, whether he wants to try and make a charge pole position or maybe take it more patiently. We do see this from drivers sometimes. Lila Zir actually started from pit lane in testing last week and made her way all the way to second. Maybe Zach McBride looking to start at the back of the field and make a similar slow, methodical move through the field as the race goes on. Still no movement from that 47 car.
And we're going to check inside the cockpit right now. Is he even inside of there? We're going to find out. No, he is not inside of this champ car. It's still sitting on pit road, but there's nobody occupying it. So confusing here is maybe pressing the button to get ready to race would be the best move. Everyone else is taking the time. Zach McBride is the one driver choosing not to do so. Odd man out right now with 3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining. And we're going to see whether or not he chooses to maybe make a move in the coming moments. But time is running out, and I'm not quite sure what we're going to expect to see. Nobody broke through under 25 seconds, so far at least. McBride might be waiting till the final opportunity to take, of course, advantage of these track temperatures. Track temperature of 88 Fahrenheit right now. Partly cloudy skies. The air temperature 72 degrees. But from minute to minute, I don't think it's likely we're going to see much movement out of him. He's the only driver left not to go and continues to wait on the outskirts of pit road.
A question as the session winds down here, why Zach McBride would be taking so long to go out on circuit. There's no advantage to waiting towards the end of the session to get out there. It's midday over here in Chicagoland, so the track temp's only going to get hotter for the next couple of hours, and it's all that precious time is whittling away. Track temperature's going up. If Zach McBride's going to set a lap, it's not now's not the time. Now's the time to do it. He's got to get out there.
So sooner, better than later. I think that's going to be the way it plays out. And with that being said, 2 minutes left. For the viewers who are joining us right now, this is the Champ Car Joliet 150, the first Champ Car World Series event on ABN in 2024. We're just moments away from getting things going with our starting grid and our race. So stay tuned. As a matter of fact, in a few minutes' time, we will be reporting your starting grid as they get ready to line up on the track for the first time this season as one. 22 drivers registered. They all appear to be in the session, and they'll be ready very soon to take to the track for 100 laps, or 150 miles, of course. Goes both ways. There's a lot of time on the table, but with the fastest open wheel machines we've got here in Chicagoland, it's going to be exciting to see who can break away.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a quick mention of the rulebook before we go into this session. We saw some drivers making use of the apron below that white line, especially in the tri-oval, trying to take the shortest possible line for their qualifying lap. In the race, that is out of bounds. You are not allowed to advance position there, and quite frankly, if you dip a tire, we've seen it before, it can unsettle a car and lead to an almighty wreck. So drivers have been instructed, no use of that apron, keep it above the line, and we'll have some fair racing for everyone tonight.
And as a matter of fact, Zach McBride's there.
Zach McBride's out on track. He's out on track. Finally, I don't understand again why he's left it so long. The track temp's gone up another at least a degree Celsius in all the time he's been sat there, but I guess he just wanted to get a beat of the field and see exactly what everyone else is going to do before he went out there.
Well, he'll only have time for one flying lap here, just barely. We'll see how he does.
There you have it, Zach McBride on the track tonight, and he's there for the first time under qualifying conditions. He's moving at about 218 miles an hour right now. Take a look at telemetry as we get things going here. He's working at about 11,000 revs a minute, and he's looking to go last. I think he'll get maybe one lap in. 10 seconds remaining. This is all McBride's got. He's going to have to push it as hard as he can. Goes right beside the apron, doesn't go under, and that's it. Zach McBride goes 14th fastest and concludes qualifying with one last run.
Always a little bit of late drama in qualifying there. Excellent laps in his first attempt, had no time to build up speed, really.
And with that being said, qualifying concluded, the grid set to enter Chicagoland Speedway for the first time, one lap away from the main event. So with that being said, how about you run down for the first time this season your starting grid here in the Joliet 150. At the top of the board, rookie, it's going to be Edson Santos with a 25.048 fastest over Emily Howe with a 25.059 outside of row number 1. Second place from there, of course, we saw was Emily. Third, inside of row 2, Nicholas Pressey with his teammate and Bryce Saucier starting right beside him. It's Nicholas Pressey E-Motorsports who compile the entirety of row number 2. Then from there, 5th place going to be held by Alex Martin with Bruce Silva in 6th, and 7th place going to be Lilik Zaire with Bobby Blowers. 8th place, he jumped up pretty late in qualifying to make into the top 10, just ahead of Lily Frazier 9th and Callie Hines rounding out the top 10.
DJ Trout going to be lining up in 11th here, with Chikuba on the outside in 12th place. Jeremy Breo and Zach McBride making up your 7th row of the grid, with Eli Sassick and Season 2 champion Christina Ryan all the way down in 16th, with a lot of work to do coming through the field tonight. Mark Parkhurst and Tucker Sawyer have taken up 17th and 18th. Houston Severson and Season 1 champions Carmen Sienna down in 20th, with Elias Flores and Sophie Connell rounding out your field of 22 cars here tonight at Chicagoland.
And the first field of many here, Chicagoland Speedway. The drivers already heading to the track, and matter of fact, they're moving for the first time this season, and here they go. The pace car gonna lead them out of the start-finish line and through the front straightaway with one more lap until everything gets started. Anticipation as we've returned with the Champ Car Series for 2024, and I'm sure the drivers are feeling that as well. So when it comes down to the mentality there, I gotta say, there's gotta be nerves. So Taylor, you think you can break down what it's like to return to this series knowing the opportunity at hand? It's going to be a year-long campaign, 2 seasons all throughout 2024, and this kicks off the chance not only for the championship but of course for a big race victory, the return to the Champ Cars.
I'm telling you now, there's a hell of a lot of experience on this grid here tonight, David. We've got former series champions, we've got oval champions, we've got guys who have raced these kinds of cars in other places all around the world, and they're all going to be competing for us tonight, live on ABN 1 here at Chicagoland. And they've all got a little bit of something to prove. With one of the biggest fields of rookies we've ever seen in Champ Car since its inception, it's going to be absolutely insane to watch each one of these drivers try and pick their way through the field and see if they can get a decent result here today.
And it's time to find out who's got what it takes. The iRacing official pace car will drop in this time and the field is led by Edson Santos and the number 20. Green flag flies for the first time in Chicagoland. This is the Joliet 150.
And coming through lap 1 there, you see Edson Santos holding the lead. Nick Pressey already moving up into 2nd place, and they are running 3 lanes at the front of the field here. Going to be a lot of aero wash behind, but up near the front they can really cut into the air. They can find some clear space, maneuver around and try and get a run on the high side. Emily Howe already dropping back to 6th place, looking for maybe a little bit of fuel save, maybe just taking it a little bit easy so far. to protect her machinery and get through to lap 100.
Nicholas Pressey going to be there on the high side, making it work down the Brant back straightaway, and you can see right there his teammate Bryce Saucier is also following in suit, and the teammates now work on that higher groove, and seeing still Edson Santos holding on there in second. Runner-up spot on the bottom side, neck and neck at the line for second place. Not much has come of that battle, but already Pressey taking the lead and taking charge immediately thereafter. Alex Martin's also getting in the mix right now. You can see side by side. Martin's currently running for 12th. He's actually dropped back big from 5th place on the grid and has moved further back right now. So some drivers are being a little more conservative with their strategy. Other drivers are playing a more aggressive route, and you'll see everyone giving each other room as the race has only just begun. Lap after lap, some big movers, but the biggest up in front is Callie Height, now up into 4th from the 10th position on the grid. That's a big move from just within the top 10 to now inside the top 5. We might see a lot more from Callie as the race goes on, now dropping down to the bottom side, and this could be the move that locks up a podium position, at least for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen Callie Height in various HHL series at Chicagoland the past week, been very strong. Some pretty nervous thoughts from drivers who are expecting a lot from Callie here. Other big movers in the field, Zach McBride and Christina Ryan up 7 spots, Carmen Sienna now up 10 spots. Starting 20th, now into the top 10. We saw Lily Fraser on lap 1 drop to the back intentionally, trying to take it very patiently. DJ Trout down 8 spots, Chikuba down 9. But yeah, Callie Height very much making a statement here as Zach McBride moves up again into 6th place.
And we're watching now as it's going to be Callie Height fighting to get right up to the back bumper of our Nicholas Pressey eMotorsports duo, who are already 1st and 2nd at the head of the field. These two drivers, they've got the biggest advantage, I think, in the field right now, which isn't just the speed, it's that teamwork. And they're 1st and 2nd right now, as that's going to be a bobble. Callie Height very close that time through, and Edson Santos really gives almost no room, too close for comfort and then some. Luckily, Callie gets out the way. Edson Santos goes through, and there's not much trouble from it, but there's damage, and you'll see it there on the front wing. Callie Height's got trouble, and this is detrimental.
Yeah, it seems like Callie Height got caught in a bit of a checkup there on the rear end of Bryce Saucier, and yeah, caught a bit of damage, is now dropping back, maybe hoping to survive until a caution here. She won't want to pit on the green, you'll lose a lap or two doing so, but if she can hold out and get a pit stop on a caution, it's just a 5-second repair, and she'll be running up to speed again, but for now, falling all the way back down to 7th place and further.
And you can see the gap is continuing to increase to our race leader now. Keep in mind, in this series, save for our season finale at Indianapolis, there are no fast repairs. So you got to find a way to make that proper move into pit road without losing much time. That's a huge difficulty in itself. And right now, Callie feeling the effects, 2.5 seconds back now of race leader Nicholas Pressey. Just about 5 laps ago, the gap was within half a second. Bad news there. Before we got to that incident, I was going to throw back, of course, with Taylor's insight in regards to that teamwork aspect. How important is it to have that advantage of having someone to work with all throughout the night, knowing they'll have your back in most instances at least? And these two, we've seen them before racing with each other. Very tight-knit duo, and they've made, of course, successful runs. They're race-winning caliber drivers, and right now they're 1st and 2nd for a reason.
Yeah, it's absolutely invaluable, especially on ovals, to have someone with you in front or behind that you can work with, especially if you're in constant communication throughout the entire race. You could be talking to each other, letting each other know which lines you're going for. So if you're leading, take a low line, tell them you're taking a low line so that your pal can take that high line and keep some wind on the front of that car. As well as that, of course, the guy behind, sit in the slipstream, save a little bit of fuel. Fuel saving, not going to be too important here, but you do want to try and keep those pit stops as short as you can. So have a bit of communication on that, swap in where you can just to try and extend those fuel stints. A lot of this today, David, is going to come down to managing those tyres, managing that fuel burn, and keeping an eye on your stints and seeing when the best time to pit is.
And management of strategy, that will be essential. We'll keep that in mind as the race goes on. Zach McBride goes high. He started in 14th. He's up now to what would be second place if he gets by Bryce, and it looks like he does. Zach McBride, the last driver to qualify tonight, mind you, has already made his way up to the second step of the podium from the middle of the pack. He's a big mover and the biggest of the whole field so far. He's making big moves and definitely working that high side here. He is not playing around on this opening stint. Perhaps the most aggressive driver so far of anyone in the field, and you'll begin to see that separation as the drivers progress. It's from Christina Ryan, who currently runs now in 6th, down to Jeremy Braille, and you'll see he's going to be running in 7th. However, the gap between Christina and Jeremy right now is about 3 seconds, and give or take. Right now, it's going to be 7th on back, closer to each other. Carmen Sienna currently runs in 9th, and the biggest, closest battle is in the middle of the field with Callie Height and DJ Trout. They're working each other over. You see Callie still fighting despite the trouble, and continues to do so with one driver banging the Brant back straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like these drivers are really struggling to get around Callie here. Obviously, she's having to go a little bit slow through the corners. The aero push is pretty strong on this setup. Even with a full front wing, she's acting as a bit of cork in the bottle, and now they look to try and go 3 wide. It's very difficult to maneuver in such a huge pack with a slower car in front of you, and everyone's just trying to be patient, not put their race at risk, but try and make up some spots to not get left behind in the early goings of this race.
DJ Trout got away, so did Eli Sazik, but you can see the guys in the back half of the field, all of which are having some trouble still, and Callie Height is now going to be relegated to the top side. We're now looking at the number 69 machine, Sophie Connell, making it through 22nd up to 16th, and it looks like now a little bit of a bottleneck of Callie Height moving back further and further, and it's going to be continuous trouble all night long without any stopping so far. We're 19 laps in out of 100. This race, it's fast. We're already about a 5th of the way through, and it feels like we blinked once or twice. Really not all too much time has passed, and yet we've made a lot of time up already. So for a driver like Callie Height, this is detrimental, whereas for someone maybe up in the front of the field, Nicholas Pressey, Zach McBride, Bryce Saucier, they're logging laps right now, getting more experience. They're not as worried, and they've got the track position to prove it, and that's a huge deal as the race goes on here. That air with these champ cars, it is tremendous in regards to its impact. So I'd like to ask Taylor, when it comes to the aerodynamics, you think right now this is the biggest place to be, the up front area? Less, of course, dirty air. You think that's the biggest advantage on the track?
I think if I'm in this race right now, I'm wanting to be in that top 5. Fortunately, it gives you plenty of options as to whether you want to choose the low, middle, or high line. Plenty of breathing space in front for that air to reattach to the ground so you can get a nice, clean run through it. When you're much deeper in the pack, talking 6th, 7th, 8th, you've got those 5 cars in front of you that are all picking their own lane and pretty much leaving you hung out to dry. It's not intentional from them. It's just the nature of racing here at ovals, especially in cars as aerodynamically as sensitive as these.
Now it looks like this is for the lead. Nicholas Pressey in the 94 machine on the high side, getting some pressure now from Zach McBride. That's the closest Zach's been to getting the race lead all night long. He's made it through from the middle of the field up, and now is going to challenge for the top spot. Goes up high to build up some more momentum, and he's still going to keep Nicholas Pressey honest, splitting it in between the two teammates. Zach McBride right now definitely has the pace. Running second last time by was a 25.9 9.6, racing for Stepping Stone Motorsports. He does have some teammates in this series. However, tonight he looks to be all alone, and about a quarter of the way through, that has not stopped him. Matter of fact, a few more drivers coming through. Looking at Emily Howe, we mentioned previously, drop back to start. Maybe now's the time for her to kick it back up and get inside of that podium, getting closer lap after lap, and we might see 4 drivers going to the top spot. That is, of course, if Bryce is playing it a bit further back, a little more conservative, letting his teammate do a lot more of the work.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to see the lap times drop off. The fastest lap of the race was set by Zach McBride on just lap 3 of this event. So we're seeing the tyre wear being a big factor, and Emily dropping back on that start might be starting to feel the benefits of that conservative approach. But here she's in a battle with Edson Santos. This top 6 pack, now with a more than 5-second gap back to Carmen Sienna, who has taken the lead of the trailing pack. But yeah, we're starting to look toward a pit stop soon. The fuel window in these cars maybe 35, 40 laps. So as we clock off to lap 26, people are going to start looking towards pit lane and decide when they want to pull the trigger.
And the field rattling by our cameras here. Once again, down the back straightaway. We mentioned previously, you cannot use the apron to advance your position. That is not going to be allowed throughout our competitions here at Chicagoland. The last time the Champ Car Series went to this circuit, it was November of 2022. And that was Carmen Siena's race victory. As we mentioned previously, won it by about 2.5 seconds. A dominant night for her. 75 laps led out of 120. And only 2 cautions that night as well. We have not seen any to this point. Carmen Sienna right now running in 7th from the 20th position, making some big gains, but still about 5 seconds behind our main pack, which is going to be concluded by Christina Ryan, who runs currently in 6th. A very small pack up there, so to speak, the elite of this field, where everyone else is really far out of cycle with these drivers, but pit road's a big deal, and a minute error there can change the game for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Carmen win that race late 2022 based on a green flag pit stop cycle to end off the race. Just hit her mark perfectly and pulled a gap that couldn't be closed up. In testing last week, we saw the opposite. A few drivers, including Carmen, missing pit road, either taking too much speed in or not quite making it inside that yellow cone, getting themselves penalties. And as we do start to look towards our first round of pit stops, that'll be at the front of drivers' minds. How do I get to pit road safely, but without costing myself too much time if I'm trying to maybe trying to jump some people in a pack if you can't get around them on the track?
And right now you're seeing the front of the pack getting to be slowly but surely calmer. However, they're coming up on lap machines, and with the high speeds here, that's a danger. You're looking at Callie Hyde, who currently runs in 22nd, as high as 3rd early in the going before some contact, fighting for the 2nd spot. Now it looks like this number 3 machine is going to be subject to becoming the first lap driver this year, and unfortunately just not going the way it was planned for Callie and company in tonight's race. So far, of course, last on the track, 22nd, just not being the best right now. Of course, there's time to improve, and pit road is coming soon for a lot of these drivers. There's a pack just a few seconds ahead. You're looking right now at Lily Frazier, and even these drivers at the back of the field are fighting tooth and nail for positions because every spot matters, especially in context of the points race.
And we have our first pit call. Taylor, can you tell us more?
Bobby Boyer's coming over the radio to let everyone know that he's coming into the pit. If you ask me, this is maybe a touch early. He's nowhere near the end of the tank there. But the number 34 car kind of stuck in a little bit of a pack there. Might be trying something a little bit different to try and jump the field a touch and try and join onto the back of that next pack. He's also got another car following him in. That is I believe that's the 19 of Tucker Salia. As we jump on board and check out these pit stops.
And now it's time. Pit road gonna get very busy. Taking a look just behind, we've got a front runner, and that looks to be Zach McBride making his way through. You're seeing drivers fly by our screen. McBride is in, and he's gonna go down to pit road, the first of your leaders up in front. He's taking a chance right now, and he's gonna come in this time by and get his first service of the year. Gonna be a quick pit stop for him, so keep an eye. As you see, already on the way, 5.6 seconds. Rapid fast, and he's going to be on the move. We'll keep in mind the pit lane times. They're going to be essential. The entry and exit, that can make the difference as much as how much time you spend in the box.
Quiet day on pit lane so far, but I'm expecting a few more cars to follow those guys in here. Nick Pressey, I think he's going to be next in. Yep, that's him coming in now. Drops down onto the apron, onto that pit speed limiter, a little bit of a puff of smoke, and a nice slow trundle down the pit lane. Just watching him now. No dramas, nice and easy. This isn't exactly the hardest part of the race, but super important that he gets the car stopped here. More cars coming in as well. Watch for those. There's another one. Can't quite see who that is at the moment. Waiting until they come past me. But our ex-race leader up on the jacks, getting those tyres changed, getting that fuel on board. No dramas in the stop. Nice, easy pull away. Easy stop for the number 94 crew.
And just like that, former race leader Pressy on the way, going to be quick to move back out there, and now going to have to chase down, of course, it's all down to Nicholas Pressy so far against Zach McBride. They've been the top two so far in this event. They're hoping to keep it that way, and as it stands, when it comes to McBride, he has scored 1 lap down. Few drivers have made it in. Pressy, Lily Frazier, Chi Kuba, Callie Height, Eli Sazik, Elias Flores, and Bobby Blowers, Tucker Salyer, as we mentioned previously. So we're looking more and more at about a third of the field coming into this point. More drivers set to make their way in. I think right now Jeremy Braille will be on, and you can see multiple other drivers there too. Looking at Christina Ryan getting back out this time by. The field is slowly but surely making their way in, and there's a familiar face on right now. It looks like it's going to be up in the front of the field. More drivers choosing. There's Emily Howe in the 83.
Yeah, absolutely. No one pushed it too far. Everyone got to at least lap 30, so they should be good on fuel without having too much saving. We see Callie Height finally make her stop. She took a gamble to try and gain the lap back, but has to come down a Fitz front wing. A little bit of an unhappy radio from some drivers who maybe were not expecting that pit lane entry, but everyone seems to be out and no penalties so far. It's very easy to pick up a penalty, but it seems like, at least for the first stop of the night, everyone taking it a little bit easy and just making sure they get through to the other side of the pit lane.
Credit to the number 3 crew. Nice, easy change of the front nose there. With the pace Callie's had, that's going to save her a little bit here. So we're going to have to watch and see if she can claw back any of those positions that she lost. Fortunately for her, I don't think she's quite going to lap down yet. No, she has. She is a lap down, but we are, as the pit stop cycle winds itself out. So let's just see if she's got the pace to get that lap back and get saved by a caution.
It's an interesting case right now when it comes to Callie. Sorry, go on.
It looks like Bruce Silver, it's our last stop, coming on lap 40. She's now just coming out of pit road, so everyone has taken service. We'd have to assume everyone's taken tyres, no reason not to with this 75% fuel tank, putting in 14 gallons, 52 litres of fuel, and back on their way everyone goes. Lily Fraser, Elias Flores, Chi Kuba, and Callie Height all falling a lap down through the end of that first stint.
At the line, Nicholas Pressy scored as your race leader. 41 coming out of lap number 42. And it looks like it's going to be Pressy over his teammate once again, of Bryce Saucier. Zach McBride is 3.5 seconds back, and it looks like right now still has some time to make up. And you can see right now getting right on the back bumper of one of the lap machines. That's going to be side by side with Elias Flores, and it's going to be Elias up to the top side. And you can see Emily Howe trying to make some moves as well. Christina Ryan going to be currently running in third, and it's going to be Bryce Saucier, as we mentioned, in second. Top two, once again, the E-Motorsport teammates ran for Nicholas Pressy, the 94, and the 07, Bryce Saucier, and it looks like most drivers are back on the lead lap. Callie Height is not one of which as it stands, so that's an interesting case. It looks like she was put 1 lap down. We did mention, though, she's got speed. Might be possible to make it back up there to the lead lap if all goes well. However, I don't think Nicholas Pressy is really in the same frame of the track. We see that wide pan we have to take to get both of them in the same camera shot. It's going to be very challenging from here on out, but I don't think all hope is lost for Callie. Just going to take a lot of time, whatever time's left.
Wall of green for the number 3 car, watching her times come in at the moment. Currently nearly a second faster than both the cars in front of her, matching and beating some of the leaders. So perhaps she is going to have the pace she needs to overcome this little setback with that front wing damage from the start.
And Houston Stevenson has set the fastest lap of the race, so as confirmation it seems like the whole field is on fresh tyres and is speeding up the pace a little bit as we go into the second stint. Everyone with a little bit more air, a little bit less aero push, and able to really improve on their running here.
Quick times all throughout Joliet, Illinois. For those who are tuning in for the first time tonight, we're about our halfway point, and this is the Joliet 150 at the Chicagoland Speedway. Great to have y'all here on ABN. This is our first event of the season here, ABN Champ Car World Series, and we're expecting, of course, many more throughout 2024. One of the flagship series we had before, of course, the debacle involving iRacing, but these high-speed champ cars are back on track and we'd love to see a lot more of them. Familiar faces for those who watch ABN all throughout the weekdays and weekends, and for those who are coming in for the first time, let's reintroduce the entire team we've got going. I'm David Kreutz, working alongside, of course, for tonight's event, we got 2 additional commentators. It's going to be Olivia Hayward and Taylor Mills, our driver analyst. We hope you enjoyed our presentation so far. Be sure to leave a follow to ABN Esports and maybe even give us a subscription here on Twitch, as we're rapidly approaching 1,000 followers with some great racing. We'd love to keep entertaining you all throughout the year on these Wednesday nights. Back to the action. It's Pressy up on top, and now it looks like a total of 17 drivers on the lead lap, going back to Alex Martin, who's just a few moments away from potentially going one down.
Yeah, there's a pack of 4 cars here that the leaders are closing up on quick, maybe only about 2 seconds behind, so they're going to want to fight because this series does have the Lucky Dog in effect, so they want to try and fight to stay on the lead lap, but if not, they'll try and fight to be leading that pack in the hopes of a caution. Further back, we have quite a tense battle for 3rd place here. Edson Santos trying to defend from Christina Ryan and Emily Howe, and from the listen on the radio is a little bit chippy between those 3, so if tensions boil over too much, there could be maybe our first caution of the night. Who knows?
It's always a possibility, but we are now at our halfway point of the race. 50 laps down, 50 laps to go. Looking off the back bumper of Edson Santos right now in that number 20, and you can see currently rolling in 3rd. Christina Ryan right behind, and Ryan right now would be classified as our biggest mover from 16th up to 4th. And there's a lot of drivers who have been coming and going from the middle of the field in qualifying. We saw Zach McBride previously, and we might see a little bit more of Carmen Sienna as this night progresses. Now looking at the number 96 machine, and I think we're going to see one more pit cycle before all is said and done. So don't think for a second we're done seeing the slow but sure march up the timing charts for Carmen Sienna from 20th in qualifying up to 7th so far. One misstep right ahead, and we could see another move made, even though Zach McBride right now is just about 6 seconds ahead, the final driver, technically speaking, in that main pack. Really big separation so far tonight. And Taylor, when it comes down to the package we're using, you think there's anything that really causes that in particular, or is it just all the circumstances of this race coming together to make some very, very long, spread out action all throughout the track?
Well, you got to think about the front wing that was taken off the setup of these cars coming into this race. Obviously, these cars are still doing over 200 miles an hour, so there's plenty of air going over them and keeping them stuck to the ground. But when you combine that with that little bit more understeer that's been added in, you're going to find you want that clean air to make sure you've got that optimum airflow over the car to maintain that grip. In fact, at the moment, we're noticing a few of the guys are starting to drift up the track, perhaps as an element of tyre saving. Perhaps as the track temps go up, they don't think they can quite hold it to the inside anymore. So instead of trying to get down there, scrub off all the speed, take that higher line. Oh, car in the wall slightly, but they get away with that one. Take that slightly higher line, scrub off less speed, fire yourself out the corner and save that rubber.
And we caught that very close moment there for the number 89 of Lilac Zaire, and luckily no major damage. We saw what happened previously with Caldy Height. Sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you don't, and you really don't want to play that game here in Chicagoland. Safer barriers all throughout these oval circuits, however, doesn't mean your car will be safe from having no damage. Side by side just ahead, this is DJ Trout and Jeremy Braille. It's the battle right now for the 10th position, and it looks like it's going to be Jeremy who has it for at least the time being. DJ Trout now going to be up top as they're neck and neck through 3 and 4. Side by side, we're seeing it in the middle of the pack. Your front runners are more distant, and Nicholas Pressy holds a 1-second lead over his teammate in Bryce Saucier. These two in full control right now, and it looks like the rest of the field not lying back necessarily, but it's going to take a lot to maybe make up some bigger gains. As we see one driver almost out of control, and that looks to be Jeremy Braille in some trouble. You see in the grass, Jeremy went. He's going to be back on the way. Luckily, no major damage to anyone else, but Jeremy going to come down a pit road, and nearly our first caution of the season.
Yeah, just had a hard hit onto the wall on the exit of 2 there. It does run away from you with the curve on the bad stretch, but not quite lucky in getting quite severe wheel damage, it seems, to have to come down and fix that. We're coming to just at the start of the pit window, but he's going to lose a lap or two, and maybe our first car out of contention in tonight's race.
Yeah, the pit crew are out servicing Jeremy Brea's car here. I don't see too much damage on it. He's been up on the jacks, he's taken on some fuel. Doesn't look like a pit stop too far out of the ordinary, so I don't really know how much damage he's taken from that.
And we're looking again at Jeremy Breo right now, sitting on pit road alone as it stands, and been there so far. We're going to pull up our timer, and it looks like over a half minute, just comes under as a matter of fact, 26.9. Back on the way, exiting pit lane, and he just put it to a stop.
Suspension damage. Yeah, I think he picked up a little bit of suspension damage when he got into the wall. That pull away, I think, was just him testing whether or not the car was straight. Sadly, the crew of the number 74 car couldn't get that suspension straightened out again, and I think he's had to retire from the race, I'm afraid.
That is our first retirement of the race. Jeremy Breo out. Suspension damage, too much, unfortunately, to handle, and that's going to leave us now with 21 on the circuit. And we're looking right now at our leading battle. Take a few moments back, and you see Emily Howe is mired in traffic here, and it's going to be troublesome to navigate through. These are lap machines, mind you, for the most part, except for Edson Santos. And Edson is still fighting right now. Bottom side, it's going to be the fight for third, and these two drivers have kept each other honest for a while, and we mentioned mixing some words back and forth with the radio, and they are still as close as they can be.
Yeah, absolutely. This pack of lap cars had fallen back to the leaders. Now just 12 cars on the lead lap, soon to be 11, and this seems to have really bunched up those front five now, all within about 2 seconds, and just using this phase of the race to try and cut through traffic before getting back to the battles, coming into what could be our second and final pit stop of this race. We're coming towards the pit window, so who'll be the first to blink and maybe try and undercut here?
Now the undercut, that is risky from what we saw. Zach McBride was the first driver to go in with the leading pack last time by. He had the lead, he gave it up, and he's not been able to find it just yet. I mean, matter of fact, he is about 4.5 seconds off of our top driver. I don't know if the undercut's really worth it right now. Maybe that's an anomaly, but Taylor, I have to throw it back to you on this one. When it comes to Chicagoland, and we've seen the undercut played by our previous leader, do you think it's feasible given the circumstances, or should drivers maybe play it by ear a little longer rather than trying to be the one who makes the first move?
As much as the dirty air gives you bags and bags of understeer around the high bank, well, the medium banks of Chicagoland Speedway here, unfortunately you do want to make sure you're with another car, because the speed boost you get from the draft down the back and the front stretch, it pales in comparison to the dirty air. Like, you need that speed boost to be able to stay in the pack. You need that speed boost to be able to maintain your position, and unfortunately Zach McBride didn't manage to do that, as we've got another car on pit lane here. The crew of the who is this here? I can't really tell.
A 36 of Bruce Silver just went a lap down and decided to take service here. Roll the dice, trying to get back onto the lead up on pit cycle. We'll see how it goes.
Very much on strategy here. We're going to have about 35 laps to go here. Short stop, no tyres for the number 36 car. They're taking a bit of a risk. We're going to see if that pays out for them. Tyre wear, as we say, is quite high here at Chicagoland.
Strategy going to be back on the way. Keep in mind, the leading battle is getting closer. Emily Howe, you'll see in the bottom right of your screen, the gap has been diminishing from lap 61 to lap 66. About a second of time has been cleared between Emily and Nicholas Pressey, and all of a sudden, it's a two-car race again, but it looks like Bryce Saucier just got past, and Emily charging hard, as it looks like Callie Height really close there, and we could see trouble. Callie defending, and this is a lap machine still fighting with a third-place driver, neck and neck, and too close for comfort again, and you're seeing this just behind the leaders. It's very close all around.
Yeah, obviously Callie taking that early wind damage, thinking she should be the one in third position here, but now falling 2 laps down, really interfering with this battle as Zach McBride actually comes down pit road. Bobby Blowers follows.
And pit road's going to get busy there.
We're expecting to see the crew of the 34 car out in the pit lane here. It's not going to be a long stop for either of these guys, but Zach McBride perhaps learning from last time to pit with someone else. So coming in with the 34, a little bit early relative to everyone else. Didn't work out for him last time, and he's not going to have anyone with him again. So I think it's going to really hurt his race again here.
Oh, and Zach McBride with a speeding penalty on pit road. He will fall out of this battle here.
And a penalty
from
from
penalty
McBride. Wow. And one driver really close to some trouble. How about that? Take a look at that entry.
Wow.
We've already
Very
had one
close
car
running
speeding
down.
on pit lane. We don't really want another one, but the car's almost stacking up on pit lane entry for our second and final stops here. Big old group coming in here, though. That's all part of our lead group, I believe.
Yeah, Nicholas
It's gonna be
Pressey, the one
interesting
having to
to
cut in very late, lost a fair bit of time doing that. So we
Very
could see a
difficult
new
pit
leader
lane
here
entry.
if Emily Howe can nail her stop here.
Oh, that's huge for Emily Howe in that instance. You can see now the 83 still on the track, and that might be the best case scenario for the 83 team. Nicholas Pressey, it was a recovery, very well executed, but at the same time, every second matters, and that, of course, could have been much, much smoother. So Emily Howe going to drop in and just hope to not have anything out of the ordinary. Looks like that's the case, and Emily's going to lock in, now down on pit road, right behind the number 89 machine of Lil Xire, and you can see drivers are exiting once again. Currently, it looks like both, of course, of the Nicholas Pressey E-Motorsport drivers, they're back on the way, while Emily Howe makes it in and swerves back and forth through the pit stalls, now entering her spot.
Emily Howe in the
Edison
pit box,
Santos.
stationary, up on the jacks, taking on fuel. Nice, easy, no drama stop from the 83 crew here so far. With all the drama that happened with the lead group when they came in last time by, this could give her the lead here, Olivia.
Yeah, Edson Santos came in the lap before, but is just coming through turn 1 here, it seems. And Emily Howe seems to have held on to the lead and actually pulled quite a big gap here. Bryce Socia behind by 1.4 of the cars who haven't made their stop. Sophie Connell and Alex Martin still yet to come down pit road here. But Emily Howe, your net race leader through that pit cycle.
Huge gains there for Emily Howe, and you're looking right now at Bryce Saucier. I mean, at this point, it looks to be about a second and a half distance between the 83 and 07. Saucier is going to be the one chasing. Emily Howe has the lead, and it's been a month of victory so far for Emily Howe on ABN. We've mentioned it previously, the Winstel 400, huge deal on the oval side with stock car racing, and now we bring it back to the home turf of Champ Cars, and it will be a great way to introduce this series, of course, going for 2 big wins in 1 month of action. And down the Brant back straightaway, that might be a thought running through her head. But I'll tell you this much, we got a lot of time, so you don't want to get that set in. You're still racing for just about a quarter of this one left. 26 laps to go. It ain't over by any means. And the line, Bryce Saucier, he's now still a second and a half back, and he's got to make some time up. He's got nobody around him. Christina Ryan, though, might have his slipstream, and Edson Santos might try to work off it as well. It's going to be all about chasing down the number 83 machine up at the front of the field. Whether or not there's a chance, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, Sophie Connell finally peeling down pit road there. Nice and safe in front of the leaders, and Emily Howe inherits the race lead. 1.3 ahead of Bryce Socia, but Christina Ryan about 0.4 behind him. So they've got a gap to chase down here, but they've got just over 20 laps to do it. It's definitely possible, but they'll need to navigate these lap cars as well.
Nice easy stop again for the number 69 car, straight up on those jacks, just taking on the fuel for the end of the race, I think. The drivers managing their tyre wear quite well. They've clearly got the confidence to not have to take 4 new tyres here. Just take that splash of fuel and go these last 24 laps or so.
And an update on Zach McBride has fallen down to 17th position after running in that lead group following that pit lane penalty. Very unfortunate, Zach McBride. The only real mishap we saw on pit road tonight, but turned out to be a costly one for the 47 machine.
Big losses for Zach McBride, looking at the number 47 right now. One of the quicker guys early in this race, but with only 22 laps remaining, is going to be a slim chance to get back up there. Minimal time, minimal opportunity. So far, 10 drivers are scored on the lead lap. Very, very few, and matter of fact, this number 89 we're looking at in Lil Xire in jeopardy of also going 1 lap down. And that just goes to show how it's been so far up in front for your leaders, near perfection. Emily Howe, matter of fact, already going to put the job into motion. 9 drivers left on the lead lap, going back to DJ Trout, and these lap machines are acting a bit as buffers because Bryce Saucier having some trouble, now nearly 2 seconds behind the 07 machine, making it by lapper after lapper, and it's costing a lot time after time. These laps, they're of course getting lower in number. There's only 20 laps remaining, so you got to make the most out of every lap you have. And with Christina Ryan in the back bumper, fierce competitor there, it becomes that much harder to focus on what's in front of you.
Yeah, and just while we're focused on that, Sophie Connell had the wall out of 2, went into the infield, got that car cleared out. Their race will be over, but managed to keep the race clean. Now just 20 cars running left in this race with under 20 laps to go.
The crew with this number 69 car out there in the pit lane trying to get that suspension straight again, but it was a very similar contact to the one that Jeremy Breo had earlier, so I don't think they're going to be able to get that one fixed this evening.
An unfortunate circumstance leads us to only 20.
The gap to Emily Howe now down to under a second here. Bryce Saucier and Christina Ryan working together with Edson Santos in tow. They're going to start catching her draft, and we could have a bit of a 4-car shootout here as we come into the final 15 laps in Joliet. Emily Howe hadn't led this race in the early runnings, made the lead in the pit side. Now she'll have to defend as we come in through into the closing stages.
Quick update on the number 69 car. Sophie is out of their car. They have wheeled it behind the barrier. Dogbots Racing have retired this car from the race.
And here we go. Bryce Saucier on the inside of Emily Howe on the bad stretch here. Looking to make the move. And it looks like he's going to be able to make it happen. Christina Ryan tries to follow. Emily Howe stranded on the outside line there. Bryce Saucier into the lead, Christina second place. She now looks to the outside of Bryce Saucier. Can't make the move work. Might try and cut down on the exit. And it looks like she can't quite get the goal. We'll have to try again into turn 3.
Neck and neck for the race lead now. Bryce Saucier with the advantage at the moment. Christina Ryan right behind, coming this time by to only 15 laps to go. Now Ryan's going to go down to the bottom yet again, taking it way low. Christina Ryan's got the top spot. Bryce is going to have to lay back now, and this is when the slipstream becomes the be-all, end-all. It's got to be the most important factor remaining. Stay behind the driver, who of course is going to lead the way and have them do all the hard work. The tow is going to be 100 then some percent. All you got to focus on here. Bryce going to be second. Third is Emily Howe, and they're chasing Christina Ryan. Now down to the bottom side, looking for it. Not enough room to make the pass, and you'll see Christina holds on while Emily Howe goes for second again. Emily drops in, and it looks like it's going to be side by side for a second before we see them go side by side for the lead.
And what this is doing is it's pulling Edson Santos into this battle. Now it's a 4-car pack, and Nicholas Pressey is only a second back and could end up making this a 5-car battle as we come towards the final 10 laps of this race. The more they fight, the more they have to take unoptimal lines, and that's just let cars in clear air pull them in. And yeah, Bryce Saucier goes to the low side, tried out round Christina Ryan. Looks like he will clear. So, you know, maybe going for the cutback. We'll tuck into the slipstream for now and try and attack back going into turn 1 here at 89.
Coming down to a dozen, 12 laps to go this time by. It's going to be Bryce Saucier once again with the lead. And we'll see there with Bryce, Christina Ryan still keeping the pressure on. And this is now going to be 100% unrestricted. You got no more pit stops to worry about if you're a driver here. The little time there is has to be used well, and with such a small amount of laps on the table, you gotta set yourself up for the 2 to go, 1 to go marker. That white flag lap will make the difference. So Taylor, when it comes down to the driver's perspective, we're gonna ask this here as you look forward to the race winning move. When do you begin to set yourself up for the real race winning moment? After you try out your ideas and make sure you figure out how you're going to make the pass, when do you think these drivers get in the motions of really going for it?
Chicagoland Speedway is a tricky one to try and set up the overtake. You've got to get the draft down one of the straights and then trying to make the move down the inside of 3 and 4. I don't really think we're going to see the move finished until we get to the final lap of the race here. Loads of dirty air being thrown around by back markers. You got guys in fourth who are having to manage the dirty air as well. Adjusting the weight jacket, adjusting the ARBs just to try and get themselves all the grip that's left in the tyre to use through the corner and try to get a run on some of these race leaders. Beautifully managed from all four of these guys up front so far. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race ends.
And the top three drivers in particular we're focusing on. Sorry, go on.
It's worth mentioning that all four of these drivers are on different teams, but Christina Ryan and Emily Howe have raced for years with each other, roommates at one point, and so if there's two drivers who might try and work together to try and put themselves as the 1 and 2, those two to look at. Bryce Saucier for MPEM and Edson Santos for Leonor Racing. Kind of lone wolves here. Christina Ryan for Stepping Stone and Emily Howe for Arrowhead Racing. Maybe with an alliance here. But it's currently Saucier and Ryan fighting for the lead. Santos and Howe separated a little bit, fighting for third place right now, as they come up to a lap car of Eli Sassett, about to go 2 down. And this could be a crucial point in the battle. Sassett stays low. Saucier and Ryan take the high line. Emily drops down below Sassett, gets a run, and now is on the back of these two cars again. Edson Santos will try and follow. Christina Ryan to the outside.
And another move going to be made up to the top. You'll see there's Christina Ryan, the Lotus-inspired number 80 machine. These champ cars all differently colored, more or less the same under the hood. Comes down to the drivers now. Only 6 laps remaining. Make it 5 next time by. And we're really coming into crunch time here with 3 drivers in realistic contention. Edson Santos is still holding on, and Nicholas Pressey waits in the wings to see whether or not his teammate can pull things together and go for the checkered flag. Right now, they're going to be side by side for second right behind Bryce, and we're going to take a look off of the rear end of this race leading machine. You're going to see Emily Howe dropping down to the bottom side, so another move going to be made low, trying to get that clean air, and that could be all the difference for this lap. Emily Howe to the point, 4 laps to go.
Friendships thrown aside with 4 laps to go. We saw Christina being pinched to the inside by Emily that last time round. Not too much movement from Bryce Saucier up top. Again, Christina getting pinned behind our ex-leader by Emily Howe. It's as much as we said these guys are friends, at the end of the day, they're both racers and they both want to do what they can to try and win this race.
Yeah, I've noticed Christina has liked going to the high side, but Bryce was kind of blocking off, so they were 3 wide into turn 1 here with 3 laps to go. Looks like the low side is going to win out here. Bryce able to funnel out, and Emily Howe cuts off Christina Ryan. She'll look low, they'll go 3 wide again, swapping positions into turn 3, and now Christina Ryan to the point, coming to the popsicle sticks. 2 laps to go here at Chicagoland.
2 laps remain, this time by. Christina Ryan's got the advantage, and it's only 3 miles of racing, so you got to set yourself up on this lap and go, go, go on the next. Emily Howe going to be in the high side, down the Brant back straightaway this time through. It'll be Bryce Saucier there, still looking for second, lays off this time by. He'll let Emily Howe do the rest. Now, coming through this time by, white flag due to wave, 1 lap to go, and this will be it. We're going to take away the, of course, bottom ticker on your screen and give you all the access to our most important battle of the night. Side by side down the Brant back straightaway, you're going to see Emily Howe up top. It's going to be Christina Ryan working the low side. Neck and neck, and Bryce Saucier looked for the 3 wide move. He'll take the green machine up top. 3 wide at the stripe. They're going to be close, but it doesn't look like anyone has it for Christina Ryan. Ryan gets it done, pulls through, and collects the checkered flag to open the Champ Car season in 2024.
The gap, 11 1,000ths of a second after 150 miles of caution-free racing. Bryce Saucier rounds out the podium, just 600ths behind. What a finish to bring Champ Car back to our screens in 2024.
I feel like those two are showing off a little bit there. How close were they coming through turns 3 and 4 and over to the checkered flag here?
And how about that finish? Burning down the house, Christina Ryan gets it done, and we're going to take a look at the celebration here for the number 80. Christina Ryan will pull through, and just like that, at the start-finish line. We saw they were going to get close. We knew they were going to get close, and they did just that. Christina Ryan awaits the burnout here in Chicagoland, and a fitting way to bring back the champ cars here in ABN.
Our Season 2 champion, contending her first full-time season since that title in 2022, and she picks up right where she left off. A fantastic drive from 16th on the grid, working her way through the opening stints, getting her pit stops right to put in contention, and then a fantastic series of moves in the dying laps to hold on by just a hundredth of a second over Emily Howe and Bryce Socia.
And those final moves make all the difference. Christina Ryan still going to be parked by the start-finish line, gives us a burnout, and celebrates after a thrilling victory here in Chicagoland. Before we get your top three in here, you're watching the Champ Car World Series on ABN. How's about we run through your race results and find out who finished where in an action-packed night, the Joliet 150. Let's go through those results, as a matter of fact. We had ourselves 22 drivers enter. Looks like only 20 were able to make it to the finish. However, only one comes home in victory lane, and that will be Christina Ryan at the top of the board. Then going to be Emily Howe in second, and Bryce Saucier then in third. Edson Santos fourth, and Nicholas Pressy rounds out the top five. It's Carmen Sienna in sixth, Houston Stevenson in seventh, and DJ Trout eighth, with Mark Parkhurst in ninth, and then Lilac Zier rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Bruce Silva coming home in 11th place here. Alex Martin in P12. Tucker Sawyer in 13th place. Zach McBride in P40. Bobby Blowers 15. All those drivers one lap down. Eli Sassett, Kelly Height, Lily Fraser, and Elias Flores falling down 2 laps, with Chi Kuba, Sophie Connell, and Jeremy Breo failing to take the checker here. But a caution-free race. 19 of our 22 cars taking the checkered flag, and what a show we have seen tonight. Should we hear from our drivers?
I think it's time to get those interviews in. So, of course, we'd love to hear first from our race-winning driver, Christina Ryan, who got it done. So how about we bring over our race winner, number 80 Machine Tonight gets it done. And there we have it, Christina Ryan, to bring back Champ Cars on ABN. You gave us a fantastic show and won by only 11 thousandths of a second. Welcome back to Champ Car. I think that's the perfect way to bring us in.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, what a brawl. That was so much fun. I've raced with Bryce forever, and I've raced with Emily forever, but never together at the same time. That was fantastic. That was an excellent race. Wow.
I don't think there's any way else to put it besides it was an excellent race through and through, and especially when it came down to managing the strategy from 16th on the grid up to the top spot with the checkered flag. No way else to put it besides it was a race to the top. From the back end of the field all the way up to the top three with 5 laps to go. Very intense, and 64 thousandths, that's what separates our podium, and you come through on top. What was the difference that got you there?
Well, I mean, honestly, starting at the back kind of helped me, because I got a really good understanding of how to kind of work with cars, working through the pack. I made it through the pack quicker than I thought I would, and then I kind of was lucky to tag on at the start. The top 6 or 5 or 6 broke away at the beginning, and I remember being the caboose of that, so I know I got lucky enough to jump on the train before it left, but after that, it was just getting solid pit stops in. We had a really solid pit stop to win Chicagoland last week. Had 2 really solid stops this week too. Pit stops is something I always screw up in everything, so I really am proud of myself that we had 2 really solid pit stops. Got in and off pit lane without too many issues. Left a little bit out there. It wasn't as good as last week's pit stop, but I didn't think it needed to be, you know. And the package changed a little bit too, so it was a lot easier for us to actually race each other. So at that point, I saw Emily getting slower, and I realized that she had probably ran out of gas, or not ran out of gas, but got short fueled again because with the crossover to the UI, it's screwing everybody up. So she said in the waiting room, that's exactly what happened. She kind of got scammed by the auto fueling. So as soon as she backed up to us, I knew it was on. And Bryce and I were racing really hard, so I trust Bryce with my life at this point. I mean, just all three of us, one of us was going to win it. Nobody really knew. We knew we were going to be top three, I think, but I don't think any of us knew the order. But then on the last lap, I just tried to keep it pinned right around the bottom. And I thought that had screwed me because Emily pulled me out of turn 2. And I went, uh-oh, well, that's not good. So I pulled up just a little bit to try and get a better arc, and I guess that's what worked out. She said she pinched pretty hard, and maybe harder than she wanted to, and it kind of killed her mow. And from there, I was just trying to get as close to the apron as I could without getting on the apron, and it worked out. So super stoked for Stepping Stone Motorsports as well. It's so good to have Champ Car back on TV, on your screens. You know, I won last week in the test race. Was like, well, that was my winning for the year. I don't have to prove anything. But now we won the points race. So, yeah, I mean, just hope that reminds everybody who the champion was a couple years ago. And I don't have any intentions to try to stop going for another one. So we'll see where the cards fall.
And that's the way, of course, the best way to kick off a championship fight here. Tell you this much, I'm sure the rest of the commentary crew has some questions for you. Fantastic way to start. So I'll throw it next to Olivia. If you got anything for our race winner, let us know.
Yeah, absolute congratulations on an incredible win, Christina. As you were coming through the pack, sort of, what were you learning about the tools you were using in the car, the roll bars, the weight jacker, and how were you using that in that 3-car fight at the end? What was the secret?
Well, I got to tell you, I was still sticking mostly to my strategy of touch nothing. Pretty much all of not last season, but the last season that Champ Car was broadcasted, I hardly ever touched the thing because it always screwed up the tire wear rates. I guess they fixed it, but I hadn't touched anything until halfway through that second stint. I got stuck behind the 20, and I got a little frustrated because of the way that our lanes kept overlapping. I guess he couldn't run the top, so we were losing a lot of momentum, and I kept basically running him over. But Emily scooted right by us like we were standing still, so I sent her a message mid-race and said, hey, are you using the weight jacker? What is it? And she was nice enough to oblige, so I put on her weight jacker settings, and I don't know if it made the difference, but because I really didn't feel any different, but we were certainly able to follow cars a bit closer, so I guess it had worked out. I didn't touch it again after that. I just left it to what she told me she was running, and that ended up being the difference. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, no, that whole run through the pack, I was just default everything. It wasn't until after the halfway point I started playing with stuff because I couldn't trust the tire wear enough, right? I didn't want to. It's a lot easier to drive the cars when they get tight in Champ Car than when they get loose, because when they get loose, they get really snappy and it's hard to catch it. So it was atrociously tight on the first 2 runs, so I was able to trust that a little bit and try and play with some things, and yeah.
And Taylor, any questions for our race winner tonight? I think that might be a no.
Hear Taylor, yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, I was muted again. Congratulations again, Christina, on a fantastic way to open your Champ Car Championship charge, I hope. Low banking here at Chicagoland, lots of dirty air being thrown around. But despite that, how important was it for you to make sure you were pitting at exactly the right time to make sure you still had that drafting partner?
Yeah, well, honestly, the draft last week was insane, right? It was a pack race, which looked really cool on TV, but it really didn't show us a whole lot of opportunities. So the pit stops were critical last week because whoever got the front basically won. This week was a lot different. They did a lot of testing. Carmen and company did a whole lot of testing to try and put on a better show for the drivers, which I really appreciate because it would have been just as easy to put us up there with the same package of last week because it looks really cool. But Carmen always listens to the drivers, and a lot of us were like, hey, that was kind of from a driver perspective, and she put in a lot of hours working on it. We got a new package. It's a little more spread out, but the way we were able to race was so important. I felt like the wake where you catch the cars was about the same. But the dirty air was a lot more extreme, but that was actually a good thing. It really let you try and move around. Dynamic track was working beautifully tonight. So kudos to iRacing as well. The pit stops were really important, mostly because I wanted to get clean air. I think those couple laps on fresh tires, you can get your momentum up, catch a couple lapped cars because it was super spread out. You could get some really quick laps in. By the time everybody else had pit, you would overlap them. That's how I jumped Santos. And I didn't jump Pressy. He made a mistake and pit in, but that's how I got closer to everybody. So I think Emily had the best pit stops of everyone. On the last round of stops, she had to abort, I think, the first round, but she got scammed by the fuel thing, so that's what allowed us to get back up there. But when those opportunities come, you got to take them. And it was super important to just have a clean stop more than anything. I think I gave up a couple tenths coming in and out of pit lane just so that I wouldn't make a silly mistake, which took me about 20 years to figure out how to do that without blowing it. But it's a good time to figure it out. I'm super stoked. I'm really excited. I'm happy for James and everybody. It's great to be with a new team for Champ Car. I know I've been with Stepping Stone for a while, but really just they kind of gave me the reins and let me do whatever I wanted. And I'm really appreciative of that. And I hope that this is a good thank you present. And I don't know what to say. I didn't expect to win tonight. I really expected a top 5 or something. So to go out and win first race of the season, I'm super stoked. So
as always, the racing combo of a little bit of luck, a little bit of talent, and an absolutely immense amount of skill paying dividends for you this afternoon, Christina. Congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thank you, and big thanks to everybody in chat cheering me on, and everybody. Hope you had a great show. We put on a hell of a show for you tonight. So Champ Car is back, baby.
And just like that, Christina Ryan gets it done. We just replayed that fantastic finish once again on our screen. 11 thousandths of a second. But of course, in every instance where there's a winner, there's always a loser. Unfortunately, on the other side. And tonight, Emily Howe gave us a fantastic show. Winning in Winsdale, the hope was to go back-to-back with these flagship events. 11 thousandths make the difference tonight. And for this 83 team, it's a runner-up start and a runner-up finish. How's it like, of course, bringing us back with Champ Car Racing and being so close here tonight?
It was a ton of fun. I mean, this is my first time running an IndyCar in, several years at this point. It's been probably 4 or 5 years since I've run cars on oval in any sort of real meaningful way. So a lot of learning tonight. A lot of learning kind of how to adjust the bars and what to do with Jacker in an actual race scenario with all this traffic out there. So first run kind of fell back a decent bit, and then sort of learned that second run, and then by the third run, it was time to go.
And the multitude of pit stops tonight, we saw that very few drivers were able to hold on in regards to that pit cycle, but that second stop, especially for this team, seemed to be the make-or-break moment, and you guys executed big time. Had a huge lead in the likes of Nicholas Pressy and Bryce Saucier, who seemed to be up there with you, and then, of course, Christina Ryan. That seemed to be the most important part of the night until the final 5 laps with that battle. How was it, of course, knowing that second cycle went just about as well as it possibly could, setting yourself up for the final laps?
I kind of actually getting kind of put on the back foot there because it auto-filled me about a lap or 2 short, so I had to save fuel massively that last run. So, I mean, I had that about 2-second lead off a pit road, and I thought, okay, time to go, but then I realized that I needed to fall back and save fuel, so I ended up putting in 6th gear and, map 3 and just basically letting myself fall back to that group of 3 back there and just trying to save fuel until about 5 to go, and I finally went again. So it kind of did save me because it kept me with good tires for that last couple lap brawl. Then once I kind of had the fuel to go, I was able to just kind of maneuver wherever I needed to kind of get up there, and just needed a little bit more to get to Chrissy there. But overall, a great night for us.
Emily, you're known as a cup driver, mainly champion, race winner earlier this month. What are like some of the main differences and similarities between the Champ Car machinery we have here and the Cup Car machinery over they have at HDL? And how do you manage those differences?
The big thing I found with the Champ Car is that you can just push every single lap, right? The stock cars are really hampered by their tire. I know a lot of the pro guys call them paper mache tires, where you can't really push. You got to run 80% the whole race. But I was kind of surprised because I was started in that kind of mindset of have to run 80% and save tires. And by the second run, it was just okay. I've learned the limiter. I can just push every lap and be able to just kind of you're not trying to find, you're not really worried about tires, just worried more about air. So just trying to find that clean air and maneuver the car into a place where you can get air in the nose and really get it to go. I found that it really helped that I was kind of brave. I was probably running the highest on the track and closest to the wall, so I did a lot where I caught people by surprise, where they'd run into turn one and run that second lane, thinking that I would run to the bottom, but I would just sneak to the outside of them and stick it by the fence and just trust the car and drive mine on the outside, and that really helped me a lot in that second run and that last run there.
So, making your debut in the series, coming through with a P2 finish, learn a lot on the oval side. Next week we head off to a very different course, Watkins Glen International, a road course. How experienced do you have running this sort of machinery around right turns, and how do you think you'll fare going into the second round of the championship here?
I genuinely have no idea. I mean, I'm probably, in terms of relative field strength, I think I'm pretty decent comparatively, just in general on road. I've done a lot of decently competitive road series, so I don't do much open wheel racing, but I think I kind of like the way these cars drive. I haven't driven one of these cars in probably, again, 4 or 5 years on a road course, but once again, get back out there, do our best, and kind of learn as we go. So hopefully put it in victory lane next week.
Second place finisher Emily Howe starts second, finishes second, kept it runner-up all night long. Great to hear, of course, from a runner-up driver here. As a matter of fact, looks like you're still in the booth, so you have any final thoughts before we head to Watkins Glen?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who helped put this all together, everyone back at ABN and the Champ Car broadcast, everyone up in the booth, behind the scenes, and got to give a shout out to the United Dairy Farmers of America and Gold Star for being in the car this week, and hopefully give them a good season this season.
And a great way to start what hopes to be, of course, a good season for the 83 team. Emily Howe will pull through and finish in second. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And one more driver on our podium today. It was the 07 machine of Bryce Saucier. Keep in mind, your top three, 64 one-thousandths of a second. That's the difference between first, second, and third. And for Nicholas Pressey E Motorsports, a fine showing for this team. 2 top fives, and you come home with the better of those 2 finishes. Bryce, third place tonight. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Very happy about how the race went. It was a pleasure racing with Chrissy and Emily. I've always respect out of them. Always a pleasure to race with them. Wish we could have done 2 better, though.
And definitely had the speed to give him a shot for that race victory till the very end. I mean, when it comes down to that 3-wide motion we saw between all of you guys in the final few laps, that's about the closest any group of drivers were all night long, for as long as you guys were, compared to a lot of strategic, methodical racing that led up to that point. So what was it like building up to it for your instance? Of course, we saw pit road. You had your teammate with you in Nicholas Pressey to help you out throughout this event. So you definitely had a different perspective compared to those ahead of you in terms of the finishing results. Still led you to that battle in the very end.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of trust is why we built it. We built a lot of trust. We've raced with each other before. We built a lot of trust even during the race, and it led to us trusting each other enough to race so close and so hard against each other to produce that great finish.
Certainly giving way to a great finish here tonight. And when it comes down to the, of course, great finish, we heard previously, just now, when it comes to the tire saving, there's also fuel saving as an aspect. Emily Howe saying that the auto fuel came in about 1 or 2 laps short, so in her case, she had to maybe conserve a bit more to get to the end. Were you full push the whole time, or was there a bit more of the fuel element as well?
First, I saved some during the first run when I was running behind Nick. But the last 2, I was full push. I made sure I packed the car full, both of those. Just make sure I had the extra fuel, make sure I could go full. The last 2 runs, I changed a couple adjustments in the car between the second and third run. I burned the right front tire off during the second run, so I changed that and it got the car better to where I wanted it, and it kept me up with those guys. I think if I didn't, I would have burned the tires up, and I wouldn't have quite had the speed that I had to stay up with them.
Bryce, you say you were using the tools out there on the track today. Is that something that you practice you've been building up to all week, or something you've just from your experience in these cars before?
A lot of it, the baseline I have a standard baseline I run from with every mile and a half that I unload at. I unloaded that. I ran that for a while. The first 2 runs. The first run it felt fine. Second run, not so much. I tweaked off that, put a little more weight jacker in, dropped the front anti roll bar a little bit.
And it worked. Congratulations on an absolutely awesome run today. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish. And thank you for putting on a fantastic show up front there with Emily and Christina.
Of course, a pleasure racing here. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting and everybody out on the racetrack. It was very respectful racing all night. No cautions. We all raced each other with respect. A good race all around.
Respectful racing from start to finish. Bryce Dessier rounds out our top 3 before we head to Schuyler County for the 2nd race of the season. Thank you for your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me in here.
With our final driver from the podium all on the move, that will conclude our podium ceremony for tonight's event. 3 fantastic drivers giving their all with only 64 1,000ths to spare between our entire podium. And that's a perfect way, I think, to kick off this season, kick off this year. And we're going to see a lot of different styles of racing as this season progresses. Next up, Schuyler County. It's going to be Watkins Glen, New York, and the Watkins Glen International Circuit, making use of one of the fastest road courses in all of the country. It's going to be some fun action in upstate New York. Before we leave you, of course, with the conclusion of this broadcast, I'd like to throw it back once again to our colleagues in the booth. Olivia, first off, then we'll ask Taylor any final thoughts before we move on to our 2nd race of the season.
Champ Car's back, baby. That was incredible to watch. I'm so happy I was able to be a part of that. And next week, Watkins Glen, one of my favorite road courses. Part of me hoping I can sneak out of the booth, hop into a spare machine, and throw some laps around. But yeah, very high speed. So maybe a nice transition over to the road courses here for our drivers. One that even the stock car driver will be familiar with, but a very different style, and be sure to shake up the field before we head back to Texas Motor Speedway for our 2nd oval of the season.
Super impressive that we've opened the Champ Car season with such a fantastic race. There's nothing I love more with these Champ Car machines than just watching them absolutely rip the top lane. Doing 220 miles an hour alongside a safer barrier, there's not much more exciting than that. Massive change of pace next week, though, as we slow the cars down a little bit, bolt some air on top of them, and head over to a road course I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with. But I'm sure these guys are all going to handle it beautifully and put on another amazing show for us at Watkins Glen.
It's going to be Watkins Glen up next on the schedule here in the ABN Champ Car World Series. And tell you what, we're especially excited. And if you are as well, be sure to stay tuned to all ABN social media pages. They're up on your screen right now. If you want to follow along on Twitter, of course, that's one of the best places to go for all information with the ABN team. Not to mention, leave a follow here on Twitch. We're nearing 1,000. We'd love to have you join before we hit the milestone. All full race replays will be on YouTube within about 2 days of the broadcast publication, so you'll be able to watch this race back if you want to. And of course, we'd love to have the support there on YouTube as well. ABN has presented the Champ Car Joliet 150, the first race of the year here in the ABN Champ Car World Series. We welcome you back. This is 2024, and this is Champ Car, and we're excited to keep bringing the action to you all year round. I've been David Kreutz alongside Olivia Hayward, and of course, as our driver analyst for tonight's event, Taylor Mills, bringing you all of the action here from the virtual Chicagoland Speedway. We thank you all for your support in tonight's race, and we hope to see you all when we come back next Wednesday night. It's going to be upstate New York. Welcome you back to Watkins Glen. Thank you all for your immense support in tonight's broadcast, and we'll see you upstate New York.
Thank you.